to order of the Board of Education for Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. Mayor, roll call.
Silva. Bradley. Here. Stacy.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Noble. Here. Linneman.
Here.
Vinnie. Aye. Here. Ms. Forbes. Thank you. We're all here.
Okay, got a quorum. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by invocation by Pastor William Hale from St. John's Lutheran Church.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gracious and generous God, I come to you today with a heart of gratitude because you have given us a wonderful gift. You have raised up an army of people who are tasked with the responsibility to guide the education of our precious resource, our children. Lord, I'm going to ask you for another gift. I'm going to ask you for the gifts of wisdom and courage for each of these people as they move forward with the daunting and sometimes difficult task of guiding the education of our community. Lord, I ask this in the name of your Son because it is your promise, it is your word, that all that we ask for in your Son's name shall be given to us. May it be so. Amen.
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 Thank you so much.
Okay. Next, do we have anybody here for public comment? And this is Harry Tyler.
Me, yeah. I'm not mad, so no one is.
And she is the parent of a child at Maryville.
Yes, at Maryville. I'm Ari, everybody. Parent of a second grader and a future kindergartner next year. And now that the first week is behind us, I just wanted to give some feedback on Meet the Teacher. Hopefully it can get a conversation started and some improvements can be made for next year. I also emailed all of this to you guys on Sunday, so if you want to go back for reference, you guys all have a copy of my statement. First critique is just the time frame. I just don't think 1 hour is enough, especially for the schools that started at 5. Lots of parents don't get off work until 5 or later, and without really any wiggle room, it was impossible for a lot of families to attend. Surrounding districts were at least an hour and a half. I work in a neighboring district. Ours was 2.5 hours. And I think it's an easy solution to be more inclusive and accommodating to families would just to be extend the time frame. Next is the way that kindergarten and pre-K have their Meet the Teacher. Overall, it's just very limited. It's kind of confusing and not accommodating for working families. There's only a daytime option. Parents are notified the week before school starts, and the first day of school is actually a day after the rest of the district, and 2 days for pre-K, which is just kind of confusing. So I think there's just a miscommunication between the district and Prather families. It happens every year. Just look at social media if you need proof. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my experience when my son was starting kindergarten 2 years ago. So first, when they announced Meet the Teacher for all of the schools, the little message says that Prather families will be notified through a letter. Fine. All of the other schools were during the evening, so I just assumed that Prathers would also be during the evening. And so I assumed that his first day of school also would be the same day as the rest of the districts, as it was listed on the website and the calendar, and nothing different was told. Well, I was wrong. Not only was I notified just a week before school started, but Prather's Meet the Teacher was only during the day, and the first day of school was a day later. This, along with dozens of other families, completely messed up my schedule that I had planned for his first day. Thankfully, I work for a good school district, and they were understanding and accommodating to me, and I was able to attend. But I ended up missing part of my first day with my own students. So my husband was not as fortunate. He's a police officer, and since we were notified of the times with such short notice, it was too late for him to request off work, and he had to miss everything. Disappointed was an understatement for how he felt, but thankfully I was able to take our son. But for the parents who are single, don't have help, can't request off work with such short notice, aren't as lucky as my family is. I've lived in Granite my whole life, minus some of college, went through the school system, and I had no idea that this is how Prather did the first week of school. So if it was confusing and difficult for me, I can only imagine how it felt for new families sending their kids off to school for the first time. I'm sure it's been done this way for years, but I think just something needs to change. Every bit of research shows that parent involvement raises test scores, grades, reduces behavior problems, and raises graduation rates. So missing or being rushed through your child's very first school event, it just doesn't set a good tone. And I just think the district needs to be more inclusive to working families whenever they're organizing this for next year. So that's all I have. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you. For the next part, we would like to recognize the board and administration, Anna Forbes, who qualified in March to represent Granite City High School speech and debate team in the semifinals and Congress debate. She chose to compete in the impromptu speaking and made it to the double octo finals, placing 68th in the nation.
So we're going to start with the speech and debate team in the semifinals with this you just talked about. Do you want to explain the double octo finals? Because I'm sure some of you may have information.
Yeah, so in March, I was able to make it to semifinals at IHSA's state debate tournament. I believe I was the only debater from Southern Illinois to make it past the first elimination. I was very proud of that. And then after that, I was able to qualify for the National Speech and Debate Tournament, which occurred this year in Phoenix. It was a week-long trip. It was great. And then I chose there to compete in an event called Impromptu Speaking, which is where they hand me an envelope with a prompt, and I have 7 minutes total that I get to decide on how long I'd like to speak for in that 7 minutes and how long I'd like to prep for. Usually I take about a minute to speak. And through that, I was able to place into double octafinals. So that is the top 160 in the nation. They do their first cutoff there, and then I looked later, and I had ended up placing 68. So I was super excited. It was an amazing
And
experience.
thank you, Miss Pernell Davis, Amy Pernell Davis, if you come up, please give her a hand. This is the sponsor. This is amazing. So Wesley Copper and yourself took these, Caitlin and Anna, all the way to Phoenix for this competition. We were able to help the school district. I think that coming in 68 in the entire nation. I don't know about you guys, but that's pretty amazing. And the fact that you took your time and took them out there, and you're so dedicated and for these students. So I wanted to recognize her as well as Anna for this huge achievement. We do have a recognition for the National Speech and Debate, the 68th place. You want to hold that up, but I'm going to set these here while we take a picture. Take a picture. Now we're going to look that way. Anne's taking a picture. Okay. So you want to stay here though. Okay, and just when you thought that wasn't good enough, right? She also, we'd like to recognize her. She was chosen to represent Illinois at the American Legion Auxiliaries Girls Nation. So right now I'd like to also call up Mr. Al Mahan and Don Shire from the American Legion. Al is the 22nd District Commander.
Yes.
Yes. And then Don is the Post 307 Commander.
That's correct.
The American Legion funded the trip, the entire trip for Anna to represent Illinois at the American Legion Girls Auxiliary Girls Nation in Washington, D.C. So we went, they do this. He came and spoke not too long ago.
About a year and a half
Was it
ago.
close to a year?
Yeah.
It didn't seem like that one. About trying to get more students involved in this. We did have, I think, the Dominic Mayhall, I do believe, went to boys state
Right.
too. But Anna, when she did that, was determined that she was going to go to the national one. If you want to give them a little background about this program.
Well, it's a program that's sponsored by the American Legion. It's we pay for everything. It's funded by donations. We don't expect the parents to pay, but I mean, if they want to, that's fine. But still, it's money that's been given to the American Legion, and what these kids do, it's just unbelievable. After all, this is our future right here.
Yes.
Yes.
And with her going as high as she's done, my God, I think she's the future now. But Don can tell more. He's been in the American Legion a lot longer than I have.
Well, essentially, girls state, boys state, they run back-to-back. It's an opportunity to go to Eastern Illinois University Charleston, and up there is an opportunity to learn how government works. They go in and they work different parts of government. Some are mayors, some are governors. They do their own campaign, and they put it all together, and they, see who goes where, and to be selected from there. Each state only has 2 that goes to the nation, so it's a great honor for them to be selected in order to do that.
The civic education that these students receive at this type of event is absolutely amazing. And being a former history teacher and civics teacher myself, I can't imagine being able to do this. Is something I wish was maybe. I was a long time ago. It would have been really fun though.
It was there.
Yeah, maybe it probably was. I just didn't know.
Been there a long
But
time.
do you want to talk a little bit about your experience of this process?
Yeah, Girls State and Girls Nation was really educational, but also a lot of fun. I got to be part of about 200 girls at Girls State, and there everyone was like interested in government, and we learned about local government all the way up to state government. We could submit our own state level bills. We even had our own little board of education there if girls are interested in joining that. And then once I got there, they elect what they call senators to go and represent our girls' state and our state at Girls Nation. And I went through a series of interviews and an election, and I was luckily one of the 2 where to do that I had to write my own piece of federal legislation, and I had to convince everyone else that mine was the best and mine should represent Illinois.
Pretty amazing.
No pressure. I wrote mine about book bans and libraries. I was really passionate about it, and then I got sent to DC, which was amazing. I met a lot of people from around the country. Met girls from Hawaii, from DC, from New Jersey, made friends with a girl from Connecticut. It was amazing. And then while we were up there, we got to speak to our own state senators. So unfortunately, Dick Durbin did have COVID. But we did get to speak to a legislative aide, and we basically went there and we presented our own bills. So it was an amazing experience, and I'd like to thank the American Legion Auxiliary. It was an amazing experience. I was so happy I got to go.
It was wonderful, and I followed them. Her dad gave me all these things that I could follow them on Instagram and Facebook, and it was incredible. Watching them, they made little videos and TikTok things, but I also got to watch what they were doing, and I followed it the whole time. But I followed it the whole time, and I was just fascinated and amazed at what they were learning and what they were doing at that level, and how much that took for you to do. And we want to also recognize the American Legion for sponsoring Anna for going. We really appreciate it. And also, I want to recognize, wait a minute, Anna again. Hold on, I haven't given Anna her. She gets another plaque. I know. Okay, so we have another one for Anna to honor her for the American Legion Auxiliaries Girls Nation in one of 50, which in the entire country. So congratulations.
Yeah, I say something else.
Yes, most
Okay.
definitely.
When Anna won this, and now she has a stepping stone to help her in college by going to Girls Nation, which I know the parents is always trying to find ways to help pay for college. She's also eligible to compete for college money, where we have several programs. I can't remember them all. I don't know if Don does, but there's several programs that the parents really need to think about with the American Legion. We have a youth police academy for anybody if their kids want to become police officers. They get to go to boot camp for a week. And then, like I said, we had Boys Nation, we had Girls Nation and stuff. But like I said, it's a way to help pay for college tuition by the kids entering these programs. The higher they go, the more, what's the word?
Available
Scholarship and stuff, right. And like I said, that's number one, helping her to get into a better college now. Because the minute they see Girls Nation, she'll go from here to here.
And the fact that I think what's really important, I want to talk to the public, to encourage these students. These scholarships are out there, these opportunities are out there. We encourage you to talk to our guidance counselors, contact anyone, myself, anyone here at the office, we'll be able to get you through so you can be a part of this program as well, right? Great job.
Thank you. Good job, Dad.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Did you see me soon?
No. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
It's the hard one over here. Her dad's kind of
Okay. Now, I guess, well, I guess before we get to the minutes, if anybody wants to, is there anything? Okay, yeah. We encourage everybody to stay.
I know Miss Bell Davis and Miss Kimball had to leave for playground, so
Okay.
that's why they have
Yeah. So anyway, let's go to the minutes of the regular board meeting of education held on July 25th. Approval of those minutes.
So moved.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Roll call.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Vinnie. Aye. Silva. Aye.
Okay. Consent agenda, which is, the consent agenda contains those items that are repetitive and repeated in nature. Any member may make a motion to approve the consent agenda or request that any of the items be removed to section 7 for individual discussion. Okay. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
I moved, or Stacy, second, Vinnie.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure, I'm gonna mention the gifts again, because I think this is such an important part of our board meetings, because we have so many generous people in our community. So I wanted to talk, we're gonna be able to have the Costco representative here tonight, he couldn't be here at the last minute, Paul Swanson. They contributed over 350 backpacks with supplies inside, for our students, which was absolutely amazing. They have a program, at the corporate level that helps local school districts. They do have a distribution center out by, Steel, what's their name? Back off of Route 3. They're up around, yes, Preco, right back in there. So they do have a distribution center. I think it used to be a Sears distribution center. So we are very appreciative of that. They came and delivered them all. It was really nice. We had some pictures that were posted as well. We also like to thank First Mid-America Credit Union. Again, they are quite the supporters. They recently opened a new location here in Granite City on Amiothe Road, and they presented us with a $500 check for the district at that opening. So I wanted to make sure I talked about that. Midwest Members Credit Union also contributed school supplies for us and brought those. We're very appreciative. This is a nice surprise. Gateway Regional Hospital did a drive for school supplies, the people that work there. And thanks to Brittany Davison and Dawn Stewart for delivering the supplies right to us. There were lots and lots of them, and we are incredibly appreciative of that generosity. I just think it's amazing, the FY24 Student of the Month contributors. These local companies started the program in 22-23, and they help our kids. They give cookies and all kinds of things for students that make the Student of the Month. That includes the Granite City Cinema movie passes, Dairy Queen, medium blizzards, sweet treats from the heart, choice of cookies, chocolate covered creations. They do a choice of small treat or drink, and does Duke's Bakery also contribute? No. Oh, that's the different one, that's right. So I just wanted to make sure that we recognize all those people that do contribute to our students in the district, so.
Okay. Roll call.
Stacy.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I should have started with Bradley. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Okay, have it. Section 8, recommendations and communications. Resources, and starting off with retirements and resignations.
It is recommended the following retirements and resignations be accepted. Johanna Wolf, paraprofessional at Prather, resignation effective 8/18/23. Colleen Treader, paraprofessional Provar, retirement end of 26/27. Jennifer Pisano, RN at GCHS, resignation effective 8/25/23. Kathy Goodwin, administrative assistant, admin office, resignation effective 9/1/23. And Sherry Lamb, administrative assistant, admin office, resignation effective 8/25/23.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions? Roll call.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye. Okay, 8B, requests for leaves of absence.
It is recommended that the following requests for leave of absences be approved. Taylor Buchanan, paraprofessional Wilson, effective 8/14/23 to 5/22/24. Kendra Bristol, business teacher at GCHS, effective 8/14/23 to 6/14/24. Kaylin Glenn, paraprofessional Wilson, effective 8/14/23 to 11/6/23. And April Treacle, paraprofessional Grigsby, effective 8/14/23 to 1/3/24.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye. Okay, 8C, requests for extensions to leaves of absence.
It is recommended that the following requests for extension to leaves of absence be approved. Austin Pelizari, custodian Grigsby, effective 10/9/23 to 1/1/24. Lonnie Swanson, first grade teacher Wilson, effective 8/1/23 to 6/1/23.
So moved. Second.
Okay, roll call.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble.
Aye.
Okay, 8D, extracurricular resignations for the 23-24 school year.
Below, you have received detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or to hold for discussion in executive session. The GCSD9 administration is recommending the following extracurricular resignations for the 23-24 school year be accepted. Adea Moore, assistant girls basketball coach, GCHS. Kendra Bristol, assistant department head, GCHS. Kendra Bristol, video journalism club, GCHS. Jake Janik, assistant floater track coach, GCHS. Katie Parker, working lawyer sponsor, GCHS. And Michelle Rosenberg, first quarter lunch duty, Mary Parole.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Okay, 8E, extracurricular recommendations for the 23-24 school year.
There's a couple of pages of these, so I'm just going to, they're all listed here for you. The GCSD9 administration is recommending the following extracurricular assignments for the 23-24 school year be approved.
So moved. Second.
Just for the audience, it's lunch
Yeah.
duties,
There are some like recycling coordinator and
independent reading program.
There's just.
Roll call.
Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye.
Okay, 8F, extracurricular volunteers for the 23-24 school year.
Below, you've received detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. The GCSD9 administration is recommending the following extracurricular volunteers for the 23-24 school year be approved. Ben Dell for Coolidge Junior High Baseball.
Roll call.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Okay, 8G, certified and classified substitutes.
Below is received, really detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. We're always happy about this. It is recommended that the following applicants be board approved as substitutes for the 23-24 school year. Certified Annabelle Ambule, Mandy Robinson, Adina Moore, Margaret Scharf, June Oni, and Lacey Wilkerson. Classified, Sherry Callender, Justina Green, Faith Prather, Randy Webb, George Callender, Stacy Hogan, Teresa Sheets, Megan Doris, Sylvia Casiguera. Did I do okay? Brianna Stern. Yay. Yes. Great.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Okay.
Oh, uh-oh, I thought Bradley.
Aye.
Yeah.
There we go. Slipped my guys, sorry.
8H1, rescind employment of paraprofessional for the 23-24 school year.
Below, there's detailed information about this item. Administration is prepared to make recommendations or to hold for discussion in executive session. Due to Helen Thomas declining the offer of a 23-24 paraprofessional position, the administration has requested rescinding the recommendation.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
8H2, rescind employment of special education / ED teacher for the 23-24 school year.
You have received information below about this item. We are prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. Due to Richard Ramsey declining the offer of a 23-24 special education teacher position, the administration has requested rescinding the recommendation.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Noble.
Aye.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye. 8H3, employment of administrative assistant to the executive director of special education / Region 1 for the 23-24 school year.
The GCSD9 administration and an interview committee consisting of Ms. Nikki Watkins, Special Education Director, Region 1 Director, Jill Relicke, Supervisor of Special Ed, and Stephanie Boyer, Supervisor of Special Ed, are recommending the employment of Sherry Schubert as the administrative assistant to the Director of Special Education for the 23-24 school year. Approval is recommended pending the final submission of the required report.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye.
8H4, employment of paraprofessional for the 23-24 school year.
The GCSD9 administration and the interview committee consisting of Jill Relicke, Special Education Supervisor, Stephanie Boyer, Special Education Supervisor, are recommending the employment of Autumn Spink as a paraprofessional for the 23-24 school year. Approval is recommended pending the submission of the required paperwork. Second.
Roll call.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
8H5, employment of GCSD9 school nurse for the 23-24 school year.
Well, you've received information on this item. We are prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. GCSD9 administration and the interview committee consisting of Dr. David Keel, Ms. Jeannie Bratton, Ms. Ann Wilson, Mr. Tim Christian, and Ms. Jeannie Burke are recommending the employment of Amber Billick as a GCSD9 school nurse for the 23-24 school year. Approval is recommended pending the submission of the required paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Just let us know another one of mine.
I know. I was thinking.
Silva.
It's hard,
Aye.
hard to find.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye.
Okay, 8H6, employment of kindergarten music teacher for the 23-24 school year.
Below, you have detailed information about this item. We are prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. The GCSD9 administration and the interview committee consisting of Ms. Christian DeVos Scriberna, Jeannie Bratton, and Wyatt Roberts are recommending the employment of Stacy Unfried, did I say that right? Yes. Okay. As a kindergarten music teacher at Prather Elementary Education Center for the 23-24 school year. Approval is recommended pending the submission of the required paperwork.
So moved.
Second.
That's Stacy.
Yeah.
Yep. Roll call.
Bradley. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
10A, the Board of Education meeting schedule. Fiscal year 2024. Okay. Basically, at the last board meeting, we approved having 2 board meetings per month, September, October, February, and April. And then we made it work, so I guess I could read off some of this. Basically, the idea is to have 2 meetings, but then some meetings because of holidays and scheduling and all of that, we have 1 so anyway, yeah, it will be posted on the website after this meeting. And anyway, do we have a motion to approve this schedule as proposed?
So moved. Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva. Aye. Bradley. Aye.
10A, hearing officers for the 23-24 school year.
You have received detailed information about this item. The administration is prepared to make recommendations or hold for discussion in executive session. Hearing officers participate in expulsion hearings and additional hearings when requested by a parent or guardian. Permission is requested to approve the following as hearing officers for the Granite City School District at the rate of $100 per hearing. Ms. Dottie Falter, Ms. Lisa Yarborough, and Mr. Jared Depew. Approval is recommended.
So moved. Second. Noble.
Discussion. Roll call.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva. Aye. Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Okay, 10B, fiscal year 24 contract with Chestnut Health Systems.
Counselors from Chestnut Health Services provide services to students in the Granite City School District for several years. They've been doing this. They see students twice a week at Granite City High School, twice a week at Grigsby and Armenia, and provide services at Coolidge Junior High one day a week. Last year, Chestnut Health Services asked for a $10,000 annual fee to help in continuing these services. Due to the difficulty of finding a school social worker, we still have one or an extra counselor, we are recommending the board approve this agreement for the 23-24 school year. This is a really reasonable fee for them to be available, and it's been a real help at all these schools, so we are really appreciative of Chestnut. What building is it? There's Coolidge Coolidge High School in Grigsby. And it's really nice to be able to have, I tried to get more. So approval is recommended. So moved.
Second.
Any more conversation? Roll call.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva. Aye. Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye. Okay, 10C, administrator and teacher compensation motion. Okay, this is what it is.
They don't have any. It's just there.
There's no action on it, it's really more like
No, I think it's
information.
You have to approve it.
It's-
You have to approve this
Yeah.
authorization.
Oh,
It's
it's not
authorization to post.
Okay.
Authorization of post is what we're voting on?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Do you know?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Aye. Silva. Aye. Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye.
Okay.
And I had to make a little. That's what I had to do. I had to put the things up. It's 10.
Last one was 10C.
No. It's just-
This one I think is 10D.
Oh, it is 10.
The proposed 23-24 Region 1 Special Education District budget. And in this case, we do need to hold a public hearing specifically for this one. So I need a motion to temporarily adjourn this meeting and open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Okay. We roll call these?
No.
No, okay.
Acclamation.
Acclamation,
All in favor?
yeah. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then I guess so, we're in the public hearing, so.
Yeah.
Making sure here. Okay, yeah, is there any public comment on this portion? Okay, Zach or Mickey, do either of you wanna?
We're presenting a balanced budget.
Yeah,
It basically handles Region 1's cooperative salaries, benefits, a few supplies for Region 1, and then the revenue is federal from Medicaid and Medicare. Medicare, Medicaid, sorry. And
You don't
then,
think we're servicing that old, right?
yeah, no, nobody's that old.
Okay.
And the other revenue is basically local revenue from the 3 member districts that balance their budget. I'll have a big presentation for Granite.
With that, do we have a motion to reconvene the regular board meeting? Second. And we can do acclamation on this?
Yes.
Yeah. We've got the motion, we've got the second. Okay, yeah. All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Dylan, we are back in the regular board meeting.
And we're back.
We need a motion to adopt the resolution and the 23-24 Region 1 Special Education budget.
So moved. Second.
Okay. And
Roll call.
on this one, we need a roll call.
Benny. Aye. Silva. Aye. Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye. Okay. With that, we already did that. Guess we just go straight to reports?
Adult meal pricing.
No,
Oh,
new
no,
business.
we haven't done.
FX.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so, we have a proposal to, increase the adult meal pricing, at schools FY '24. The proposal is $4.50 for lunch and $2.75 for breakfast. I'd kind of like to have Mr. McCullough explain this a little bit, so it's just not out of the blue. You want to offer a little bit?
Sure. Just in correspondence with ISB over our reimbursement rates with being a CEP district, we get reimbursed roughly around $443 per student. And Mike Ogerty with the nutrition department recommended that it has to be, our reimbursement is $443, so our meal pricing has to be close to, or a little bit above that. So that's the big thing, is the lunch would be $450, and the breakfast is just right above our reimbursement rate with the state as well as our in USDA, so it's $275. So we're just trying to stay off the radar with that, and all the other districts around us accordingly have to follow whatever their reimbursement rates is as well, to be similarly above that as well. So it can't be underneath what we're getting. So.
And increased labor costs and food costs, all that goes.
It's also a steal to have breakfast for
Yes,
$2.75 and lunch for $4.50. I move to approve.
Spaghetti lunches are worth it right there.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Thanksgiving dinner alone
Yes.
is worth it.
Yeah.
Yonah was at it, was the big Friday, Yonah was at it.
Oh, Yonah was
Just
at it.
saying, Friday. Yes. Most definitely. That's right.
Roll call.
Silva.
Aye.
Bradley. Aye. Stacy.
Aye.
Curran.
Aye.
Noble. Aye. Linneman.
Aye.
Benny. Yes. Aye.
Okay, 11A, the Freedom of Information Act requests.
We received one request under the Freedom of Information Act during the period of July 18, 23 through August 15, 23. Mr. Mitchell handled everything perfectly, and it was sent out.
Okay.
It's my turn.
Your show.
There we go. I'm excited, it's strategic plan stuff. So Mitchell, I put that up there, should I go? I don't know anymore. Oh, no, is it supposed to sound like that? Mr. Larson, can you fix that? Mr. Smith, can you fix that? I just won't move it anymore. Okay, can they see the? So. Yes. Okay. Which one do I just do the arrows?
Yeah, you'll just need to point it at my computer.
We've been working on this. One of my goals this year was to create a strategic plan for our district. It's very important that we know where we're going. I always said you have to be on a map, you need to know where you're going. So the strategic plan overview, I'm going to talk about a little bit of the things we did. This is the cover of the strategic plan. It seems like it isn't a big deal, but picking all the photos is kind of a neat thing to do. Those are all our students and our graduation and everything on there. Every picture in the strategic plan is from all the thousands of pictures Mr. Mitchell takes every year. So we really thought that each of these pictures represented, what I'm going to talk about later, the care, connect, and learn. I think that picture, Mr. DePew at graduation, I love. I just think that we really wanted to speak to the social worker and the CTE and the students' pride and our warrior pride with the marching warriors. So I think that we did a great job putting that together. Okay, over the past several months, actually since January, the district is engaged in the strategic planning process. The Insight Group helps us do this. It's kind of a daunting task trying to make sure you include as many stakeholders as you can in the process. So we started, they actually ran the program, so I think it's a little more transparent. It's through them. They did the surveys, they handled those things, and then we were all a part of that. So they surveyed members of the community. They convened a steering committee, which was, I think, 40 members, I do believe, representing various stakeholder groups. We had parents, we had business owners, we had teachers, we had students, and administration. So I really think that the representation was a really good mix. We took the data that we got from the survey results, the comments, all of the input from everybody on that steering committee, and went from there and then started the process. It's kind of hard to see this, but we talked about each meeting that we had. So each meeting, we had sample plans. The first one, we looked at plans from all over the country to see kind of what we even thought we wanted to do. I know that we looked at one from Chicago Public Schools, and it was probably at least 100 pages. Who was on strategic plan? It was at least 100 pages, right? The Chicago one. And we were like, well, we don't want that because no one's going to read it. There's a lot of verbiage. It did have a lot of information, but the point of a strategic plan is to be kind of quick and to the point, to show you what our priorities are, what we're going to do, what our goals are, and then we deal with implementation separate from that. You want to make sure that what you're doing, that seems simple, but trying to get a group of 50 people to decide what the priorities are, what those goals are, how you're going to implement them, was a little bit of a task, but it was really fun. We all had dinner, we met, everybody talked, we moved tables every time. It was a nice process. So every meeting, we did something different. Core values, mission, and vision were the second one. Data priorities and goals. Data priorities and goals part 2. Measuring progress and performance. And the final review was the plan, and also to talk about implementation and how we were going to get to meeting those goals. Oh gosh, hold on. Okay, why does it keep doing that? Okay, so core beliefs. I thought this was one of my favorite parts of the planning process. Can you see this awesome thing? Okay. The core beliefs were designed to guide the actions and the behaviors and the decision-making process of this steering committee. So we all talked about things that we felt were important and what we believed about education. And it was really interesting with all these people. Pretty much there were a lot of similarities and a lot of commonalities. And that was really nice to see too. I mean, everybody wants what's best for kids. And so we came up with these in particular. I can't really read that from here, so I'm going to go here. We talked about innovation. I thought that was interesting. Bringing forth new and creative approaches that can change learning, preparing students for a changing world. We can't, they always say that the worst words are we've always done it that way. We have to change. The children that in here now are facing a totally different job market. Everything's different than when we were, even some of the younger ones were in school. Anna can tell you that. Everything's different, even from being able to watch you guys at your state, to be able to see you do things, interact in real time. Just things like that, just things that we didn't experience. So I thought innovation was very important. Community partnerships was huge. And it was really nice. We had a chiropractor, a realtor, we had people in that talked about, and they actually started offering up like, well, we would take a co-op student, or we would like to help with this. And so it really brought a sense of community, and I thought that was really important. Also, diversity, equity, and inclusivity are very important. It's a changing demographic, it's a changing world. People are much more mobile You don't see sometimes people living in the same community for long amounts of time and people come in. So we wanted to make sure that they felt included, that they felt like they were welcome here, and that was important for us to put into our priorities and beliefs. Integrity fosters trust and ethical conduct. That was the most important thing about the steering committee, is that everybody had input. Everybody could talk, anybody could ask a question or volunteer information, and we got a lot of really good just conversation about a lot of different things, and I think it's really important. That's why I really wanted another group to come in and do that and kind of sponsor that and get everybody going. So I think the experience was really good. And empowerment. First, it fuels students, staff confidence, autonomy, self-belief, equipping students with skills and teachers with skills and mindset to take ownership in the pursuit of their own potential, right? And not just our students, this was about teachers and staff too. I know I'm going to talk a little bit later about our professional development and how we're changing that. Our curriculum director is talking about giving menus and allowing more input and more autonomy for professional development within the district too. I think that's huge when someone wants to improve and feel relevant in their job. So that's really important for students and staff. So the vision, this was probably the most difficult, I think, to come up with, because everybody had, it's very hard, you don't want to wordsmith it to death, but it was very important for us to have it pretty short. Mine was really short, but this one was kind of compromised, right? So we had some that were really long, some that were really short, but our vision describes what a district hopes to achieve or be in the future. So empowering lifelong learners, critical thinkers, and responsible citizens through innovation and community support to reach their potential. And I think lifelong learners is important because we all should be that, right? You can learn from something every single day. It doesn't matter what it is or where you are, you can learn from that. And it's not just about the students in here, it's about all the staff and all of us. Critical thinkers. I think it's impossible now to not be and to succeed. There's so many new things out there. I know Mr. Curran and I have been talking about AI a lot and how these new ways of thought, new ways of doing things require a critical approach. So we really need to encourage that in our students and staff. And responsible citizens is huge right now. I mean, just making sure that civic education, and what Anna went and did, I think is so important, and to be able to encourage others to be able to take part in that and take part in government. I'm going to be doing a student advisory committee that I really want them to be a part of too. So just that community support, it could be the school community, it could be the city community, it could be the state community, it doesn't matter, or federal community as she shows us. So it's just very important. A mission articulates what is unique, right, about the district and what the district does and who the district serves. So it was very important to all of us there. Everybody had this, that the heart of Granite City. You know, when you think about Granite City, I was born and raised here, and you know what, hard work, resiliency, they take pride in fostering their schools and innovation and diverse educational experiences for all students. We are dedicated to continuous improvement, supporting student academic success, overall growth, and a safe environment through equity, advocacy, empowerment, and community involvement. So it takes those core beliefs and we put them into a mission that says what we want to do as a district. And so I think, you know, they're always longer, you know, because you've got your vision, and then you have what's the mission is that vision. So I think those work really well together. The portrait of a graduate, I thought we liked that from looking at all the other plans, and I thought it was really important for us to kind of look at what does a graduate from Granite look like? What do we want them to have when they leave us? So it's the characteristics and traits that each student should embody. I'm gonna have to turn it back so I can't read that from here either. We want students to be empathetic. I think that's huge in today's world. Trying to understand what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes, what it's like to experience what someone else is going through. I think that's very important for students now and all of us. Resiliency. Something bad happens, COVID happens, we have to bounce back. You can't wallow in any kind of problems you have to bounce back into it, right? Talks about embodying a growth mindset, resilience to overcome adversity, and navigate the many challenges that students and staff have now. Collaborative, developing relationship and working with each other to reach the common goals. I think because when we were in COVID and everybody became kind of on their own, I think it's super important now to foster a collaborative sense in classrooms, in schools, with staff. I think it's just really, and with the community, which is what I loved about the steering committee. Skill. exemplifying strong academic and communication skills that position them to lead in the local and global economy. I mean, even with social media, I know that's you, but you have to know how to communicate, how to get your point across. We see where that doesn't happen. Sometimes perceptions are wrong from what we hear and see. It's very important for them to be able to have those skills. And once again, a critical thinker is so important, demonstrating the ability to think critically, solve complex problems, and innovate in a dynamic world, meaning it changes every day. And these students now, I mean, everything's different than any of us experience, right, in education. So we have to be a part of that and contribute to help navigate them through that. That's one of our employees' daughters, which is very cute. And these are the priorities. We have them on one page, so you can kind of see them. Once again, one of our softball girls too. These were really important. We talked about, we had our core beliefs, but what are our real priorities that we want to do and accomplish through the strategic plan? Supporting the whole child was huge. I think every table talked about wrapping around the student, not just academically, social, emotionally, anything we could do to help a child, their behavior, social, mental well-being. We have social workers. We try to have programs. We just talked about Chestnut, trying to find ways to help those students, that whole student, the whole child. Because we all know if the student isn't happy or healthy or confident in where they live, in shelter, they're not going to learn as well. So everything we can do to wrap around them and help them feel a certain way, it's going to make them more willing to learn and be able to learn physically too. So that was really important. Aspiring to academic excellence. Obviously, that's what we all think about when we think about school. That's very important, right? We want to ensure that students are academically prepared for college, vocational, career readiness through programming, high-quality instructional materials, research-based instructional practices. We're already doing some of that right now, and we just have to keep that momentum going. It's really important that we prepare our students, and that's going to require us to look for new and different ways of doing things. So that was a very important one. Equipping for tomorrow. We're talking about collaborating with stakeholders. I talked about people that were in our steering committee that were willing to take in students, let them work for them. I talked to Gateway Regional, the new CEO wants to bring in students maybe in different areas of the hospital to do things, have tours, to contribute to the success of the entire community. Being able to have them involved helps all of us. Having students part of the community and doing things within the community is going to help all of us as well as that student. Empowering and diversifying our team. They'll provide each staff member with focused support that allows them to find success in their role and continued growth. But that's also very important, not the team of students, team of teachers, team of staff. I like to look at everybody as teams, actually. As you look at a team, there's no I in team, right? Everybody works together for a common goal, and that's success of our students. And so we really felt like empowering and diversifying and bringing new people in that have different skills and different mindsets to help our students and staff. Once again, with the professional development, bringing different people in, trying to specialize and have the professional development catered to certain groups so they're learning something relevant that they can use the very next day with students in the classroom. It's very important. And building our future. I do believe the American Legion, Anna's our future, right? You're our future, right? I mean, that sounds a little maybe a little corny or whatever, but I think it's very important to know that we have the ability to help shape where they go and what they do.
And we get emotional.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, right? And her brother too. It's just very emotional to me because I think what we can give them is not just academics, it's that faith in them, that support of them, that pride in them that will allow them to move forward and be our future and do what's best for our society. So that was very important. And that took a long time to kind of pull those together and talk about what that meant. So that was very important. Oops, sorry. Okay, supporting the whole child. I'm just going to go through these a little bit quickly. I'm not going to read them all. So on each priority, we then set goals. So just like in anything else, if you're going to do something, you want to have goals to achieve that, right? So supporting the physical, mental, social, and behavioral well-being of the student, we have goals, providing training, ensuring that schools are providing support services. We're maintaining safe and supportive learning environments. those are goals, and then from there, we'll see what we need to do to succeed in achieving those goals. So for each one of those priorities, we have goals. Academic excellence, establishing pathways. This is a big thing for secondary in particular, to engage in advanced coursework in English, arts, math, providing them with opportunities, higher level learning experiences, building trades, right? AP classes. I mean, it doesn't have to just be, when we think of higher level learning as an advanced class, it can be anything that's engaging. STEM opportunities at kindergarten, right? These new higher level learning experiences, because it is all experiential learning now. Kids are out there, they can do 3D labs, virtual labs online, AI. There's just so many things that we can use for us, and these students deserve teachers that can understand that and provide those experiences for them. Achieving vertical and horizontal curriculum alignment, we've already started that. Making sure that kids are pretty close at the same spot with our standards. Making sure that alignment, our curriculum director's working on that too, bringing in people to help her with that. Knowing what they need, that's very important. Implementing strategies to progressively reduce and eliminate, hopefully, achievement gaps. First, we have to identify the achievement gaps. That in itself can be difficult. We talked about with special ed, looking at MTS, doing testing, finding out where kids are, and addressing them and doing things that can help each of them succeed and bring them together so there's not such an achievement gap across those. Equipping for tomorrow, we're going to establish a workforce development task force to initiate collaboration between universities, alumni, and business leaders. The steering committee did even a little bit of that as well, but we have a new CTE director that's working on that as well. Expanding and aligning career and technical education and post-secondary readiness. We've sponsored a CNA class at SWIC. We're running START. We have a lot of programs with our local community college that are incredibly beneficial to our students. So I think that's really important. So we'll continue to build to make sure we make that goal. Encourage career exploration through pre-K, kindergarten, through graduation. Career exploration, we have a new vocational trailer that's going to go around to the different schools. The band, our jazz band, they go to the grade schools and do performances to inspire those kids to want to be in band and do things as well. I just think that anything, we have people come in, I talked to one of our board members about being able to come in and talk about what he does. I think they all should be able to do that. Different businesses coming in and different people coming in. I used to do that as a high school teacher. I had a law class and I would bring in attorneys and judges and things to come in, and it really sparked some with a lot of kids, and one of them is a partner in a law firm in Evansville. So I think that mock trial experiences, things like that, with those different types of things for them. Empowering and diversifying the team. We're trying to develop a local pipeline for supporting non-traditional pathways for educators, CTE accreditations to get them in. We have to work with higher ed and maybe ISB to start allowing maybe retired people. I know there are certain state reps that are working to try to get, like if you've retired from Boeing and you want to come in and teach a class on coding, because we can't really get anybody for the price of a teacher to come in that's on top of those things. So being able to allow those types of things, I know our state legislators are working on that as well. Maybe we could put in on that. Right? I think that's a good idea. That's a bill for you. Seriously, it's kind of out there right now. I can talk to you. So develop a middle and high school teacher pathway program. I think that's huge. Grow your own. We're looking at doing a intro to education class through SWIFT. We're looking to find someone to do that at the high school and grow that educator program. I know that a student related to Anna, even though he's into engineering and that, also has a desire to maybe come back and teach. I think we have to instill that sense of wanting to give back to the younger students. I think that's really important. Support, develop, and grow at high levels of retention of educators. We have to do things, we have to be creative, and people change jobs now. They don't stay in things sometimes for careers. So what can we do? That's why we talked about new professional development and autonomy and wrapping around teachers and children so we can get those educators to stay for our students. Building the future, developing a 5-year plan is a start. It ensures that we have facilities, infrastructure, transportation, technology, utilized and effective for students. COVID actually pushed us towards technology. We're in a much better place than we were 3 years ago with technology. I think our students especially appreciate that. I think it's just really important. Infrastructure. We are having some air conditioning issues, but we also have a brand new system that's ahead of the game. So it will be great And once we get it all finished, it's just a huge project. But we're in the middle of doing so many things to facilities. We have new parking lots, painting, new ways, new technology systems, just things within the schools that we're really working hard to have for our kids. Continue to provide facilities that are safe and secure learning environments. I know Mr. Smith works on this every single day. There's something that we're trying to improve and trying to make better for our students and teachers. Okay, the implementation plan is our next step. I think that's the most important step. Otherwise, you have a booklet that stays on the shelf and you have good intentions, but you need to follow through with those goals and all the priorities we talked about. So each priority will have an assigned lead who will coordinate and communicate the strategies associated with each goal. Each priority will have a team of individuals with diverse representation, hopefully different departments, parents, community members. Progress towards the priorities will be regularly reviewed and communicated at the district level and at the board level. I'd like to have quarterly input on how we're doing this, so that you as a public can see and hear what we're doing with our promise in that strategic plan. It's very important that we talk about the follow through and how we're going to improve the district. That was huge for me. Oops. Okay, you can't see that. Look at it. It says, how can you support the strategic plan moving forward? You might ask that as a community member. You can read the plan when it gets out. You can volunteer for the citizens committee that we're going to have that comes from the steering committee. You can attend strategic planning community meetings that I'm going to be doing throughout the fall, going to PTA meetings and going to different schools and talking about the plan and talking about the implementation. So please feel free to attend. I'll have a video. I'll have a video out that talks about it. We'll also have it sent out on Skyward so everybody knows where and when those are. I think that's very important. I'll go to all the different schools, so if you can't get to one, you can probably get to something. We'll probably even try to have some kind of snack or something. Mr. McCall hasn't heard me say that yet, but try to have some drinks and snacks. He's looking at me smiling, right? So that'll happen this fall with the implementation. I think what's very important, I think each of you, can someone hold up the plan here? I know I'm not on camera at the moment, but Chris is going to hold it up. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. We were all trying to think of something quick and short that represented all the work we did in a strategic plan, all the priorities, the goals. We wanted to think of something fast and everybody could remember that represented everything we were trying to do. So we were all brainstorming in there, and Ms. Devasha Cabrera goes, well, we had all these words, we had different words, and she goes, well, how about, I think we had care and something, and she goes, how about care, connect, and learn? Like, we all just kind of went quiet, like, that's it. So it's so important. Caring, connecting, and learning is what everyone should be doing, not just at GCSD9, but that's what everybody should be trying to do every day. We need to embrace what is best for all of our students, not just what we think sometimes is best for us. I know that's hard to hear sometimes, but we must care for our students, colleagues, and families. We must continually try to connect with our students and community, and we must be open to learning new ideas and new views every day. Through these three things, care, connect, and learn, I do believe that we can and will move forward as a district. So I'm really happy about this plan. We'll be getting more information out. We're doing a video. I'm just really excited to get started on implementation. So I'm all done.
Thank you very much. That was a lot of work. Yeah, go ahead.
As I was attending mine.
You were a steering member?
Yes, Helen and I were both on the committee, on the steering committee. And I know that this has just really plowed into you very quickly, but the table groups that we sat in on, and you had to sit at a different table every time, new people were amazing. The brilliance of their thoughts and their coming together hadn't even talked together until we sat down at each week or each month. And the effort that they put out to put this forward and then having to write it down and present it was just pretty amazing. And I was just in awe of some of the brilliant thoughts that people had. Meet the Teacher Night, I walked in and one of the first things the teacher said was, please let me know if your child is unhappy. Let me know what is going on. I feel choked up when I think got someone who really knows social and emotional is so important. It's one of the most important things when you Google what concerns do parents have about their children in school, the first one is social emotional.
It was, that's what one of the surveys showed.
And all I can say is that, you know, I appreciated being on the team, and I know Talon did too. I was just utterly taken away by the opportunity to listen to some of the thoughts and concerns that people had put this out. So it wasn't just a flim-flam, it was real down and dirty
Several
thoughts.
hours.
Yes.
Thank you, Linda, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience, you know, month after month after month going over this and seeing what the end product, well, it's not really the end.
No,
but
right,
it's,
that's right,
you know,
that's
we
the
get the
beginning.
strategic plan, then we'll have supplementary documents, and we'll have all kinds of.
And we will have those plans online, they'll be online now that we've introduced it. And like we have the new Care Connect to Learn emblem, and so we're really excited about it.
All right. Well, next, we have a communication on the multi-grade level schools committee, and that is Erica Benny and Becky Bradley.
I'll just go and then you wanna chime in? Okay. So we won't give now that we're 2 meetings a month, in some ways, we're not gonna be able to give an update every meeting, but we'll definitely be shooting for about monthly meetings, I think, updates. So, in this last time, since we last updated you, we've met with district level administration. All of them are in the room, they stayed late, working with us, talking with us. We had lots of really great conversations and, you know, weighing some pros and cons. And then also, we were having all facets of the district giving us their input, ideas, concerns. It's an ongoing conversation. It's not something that will be wrapped up probably ever, honestly. I know it seems like, gosh, how, you know, this thing's taken forever, but this is probably the most important part of it, short of the change, like the planning and the implementation, because this is where we educate ourselves and where we talk through possibilities and hurdles and challenges. And so, Ms. Bradley, I'll speak for you, but you can also speak for yourself, but we're trying to be very conscientious in this. We don't want to just say like, here, make a change, because most often that's going to create a whole other set of problems and that has exponential implications over time, financial, logistical, and we want to make sure that we're making the best decisions for our kids and for our community. So we're continuing, so now we're kind of doing like a couple levels. So we're going to be continuing conversations with district level administration, because you can't knock that out in a meeting, or probably 5 or 10. But we also want to now bring in our building level principals. So building principals in the room, you should expect to receive an email from Ms. Bradley and me the next couple days. We'd like to have a sit down with you. We know schedules are hard, so we might try to group some people together, so we're not having like all these individual ones, but we want to hear your insights and your perspectives, your ideas, your concerns, and start weighing through some pros and cons of various ideas. And then from there, that's what we're hoping to achieve through the month of September. Then we're ready to branch out to faculty and staff. I promise we're gonna get to community and families as well, but usually when you do this kind of thing, if you work through a concentric model where you start small and work your way out, that's most effective, because if you start too big and bring it down, it gets very overwhelming and it becomes very cumbersome and you don't really get anywhere with it, to be honest with you. And we don't want this to be just a conversation, but we also don't want it to be on the other spectrum, something that happens without everybody's possible input and everybody's possible perspective. And we want to make sure whenever we make difficult decisions, because one way or another it's a difficult decision for change, that we're doing what we think is best, what we truly believe and know is best for our kids, and that we're doing that in a way that's sustainable over time, and not something that's just going to become a fad, which is a terrible thing in education, where we have a great idea and then we do something and they're like, oh, maybe ditch it in like a month, a year or so. So we're being very strategic, aligning with the strategic plan as well. Well, over the course, board members will be collaborating more with your committees, because, for example, construction committee, should we go down that route, we'll need to be talking with that as well. So it's definitely going to be a collaborative effort. You can expect our next update at the end of September. Anything else?
I don't think so. And that was all building admin, pre-K through high school. So
Yes.
we want to include all of the building principals.
And those are building principals, assistant principals as well. Like, again, we're trying to include all those voices.
When we get with like staff, teachers,
probably toward the end of September, beginning of October. We want to include as many voices, but it's logistically and physically impossible to meet, like we're meeting with all the other people.
Right.
So we want to find a way to have some people where we can interact with face to face, because it's nice to have some follow-up questions, but we want to have that to be a representative body that represents most perspectives in the district. But then also be able to survey everybody, so everybody has an option. And anyone that knows about survey development, you have to be very careful in how you word that as well, because we're not trying to influence or skew. We don't want to have a narrowed focus, but not too narrow. So that'll be some work that we're doing in September as well.
Okay, thank you very much. And after that, we move on to executive session. We do have items tonight. Read those ones off? No. Okay. Well, do we have a motion to move into executive session?
And we're gonna go in under 2C2, a matter of collective bargaining, under pending litigation, 2C11, in my understanding, we have a student safety issue under 2C8. Is that correct?
That's correct. Who made that motion?